Or are you seeing something completely different?
My view on the economy is much like what the mainstream media tells us about Donald J. Trump. Most of what we're being told by the mainstream press is an illusion. Personally, my view on the economy is that it's no better than Trump is engaged with Russians in let's just say gerrymandering the results of elections. So you can make these people in Washington seem to be able to make the statistics sing and dance for them as they see fit to let's just say paint a picture that's commensurate with the narrative that they choose to sing at any given time. Employment data, in my view, is all manufactured and it's false. The state of the economy, while I acknowledge that the stock market has gone up, I really do not believe that the economy is actually showing the strength that would warrant these higher numbers. And what I do believe is propelling the stock market to the heights we've seen is the hopium that we will see tax cuts down the road. And with the gridlock that we see on the Beltway in Beltway in Washington, I really don't see these hoped for tax cuts really coming to fruition.
So you don't think they're going to push the tax cuts through? I mean, these are really corporate tax cuts, not really individual tax cuts.
Well, exactly. But I mean, I just don't see it happening. I literally see the proposed or hoped for corporate tax cuts meeting the same fate as Obamacare reform, which really is dead in the water. It just isn't happening.
Now, do you think the establishment, the cabal, some people call them the cabal, the deep state, you think they're trying to just keep the status quo right now? Is that why they're not letting anything through?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's important that we Dave, that we address this issue about when you make the comment, which I understand why you make the comment. You make the comment of people call them the cabal. There is a cabal. There is a deep state. There is a new world order. This is not a theory. This is not a conspiracy theory. These are facts that we all need to deal with, and we all need to understand if we're to keep our skin through through this developing debacle that we're all being and all have been thrust into. So I think it's very critical that everyone understands that there are very dark forces in the world that are aligned against the current president of America, and they will do anything in their power, and they're not going to go away lightly. These people have it in bad for America. Very, very bad.
Do you think these forces that are out there, do you think they're losing power now from what is going on, or do you think they're gaining power?
I think they're on the run. I think that Trump has dealt them some pretty severe blows. Even with a diminished, or let's just say weakened, Justice Department, because I would hazard to guess that Trump has very likely chosen the wrong man to head up justice in terms of Sessions, and Sessions, in my view, very likely must be replaced. And but the deep state and the antics of the deep state, a la the Podestas, a la the true conspirators and the true meddlers and people who were involved in dealing with Russia and taking payoffs from Russia, are none other than the former regime of Obama, Clinton, along with the Podestas, and it seems like there may very well have been a good sprinkling of Manafort involved with them. But this all predates the the run of Trump as a candidate for president.
Do you think these indictment charges, you think this is a nothing burger, as they call it?
Let's just say, as it pertains to, or as it is likely to stick to either candidate or now President Trump, yes. But Manafort may very well have had some very, very serious issues in dealing with and taking money from Ukrainian interests while he was working hand in glove with the Podesta group regarding the Uranium One situation. But that predates Trump's run for president completely.
Yeah, you're right. I wanted to get into the crypto market right now, and we can see that Christine Lagarde was out there saying that she's all for Bitcoin. Yeah, let's go for Bitcoin. That sounds great. The central banks, they're working on their own type of coin. Do you think the central banking community, do you think they want to take control of the crypto market or force everyone into their coin? Do you think that's their agenda?
I think the New World Order's wildest wet dream is to have a digital or cryptocurrency that they can exclusively control. But in terms of cryptocurrency, I do believe that's a dog that will not hunt. So they have a huge dilemma on their hands. Let's just say at least in my view and to my way of thinking, a cryptocurrency that would be controlled by the powers that be would be a centralized form of Bitcoin. And a centralized form of Bitcoin or a centralized form of Ethereum is a dog that will never hunt. Because it's sort of like saying, I'm going to take the wheel and I'm going to make it square for my purposes. And square wheels do not roll.
So do you think that the crypto market might push the fiat money system like out of the way?
It could push it over a cliff, I think, is a better analogy.
So this, you think they're afraid of this?
Absolutely, they're afraid of this because what cryptography does to price discovery, if it's properly employed, which I believe we are on a path to see just that. Cryptography has the ability to bring honest and transparent price discovery to real assets. And this is the sort of thing that could absolutely bust the powers that be and their long held fascination with dominating and dictating the price of real assets and real money, namely gold and silver, in the paper markets. And what cryptography can do, and I believe will do in the very near future, is show the world just how mispriced these real assets are.
Do you think that any of the cryptocurrencies might be backed by gold or silver, or you don't think that's going to happen?
I think the initial cryptocurrencies that gain traction will most definitely be backed by gold, silver, and probably in short order thereafter gems, as in precious stones, and then very, very likely oil on its heels.
So if the crypto market, I mean, right now it's quite small because a lot of people, they don't know about it. If I go to my neighbor, they have no idea. I mean, they've heard of it, but they don't know how to get into it, and they don't know really, what to do with it. I mean, if crypto, if there is a coin, if we start using the coin and we start getting paid in one of these coins, if we start using it to purchase items, at this point, the income that we receive from the cryptocurrency, we wouldn't be taxed on this because this is not a Federal Reserve note, right?
Now that's a bit of a sticky wicket, but I'd like to address something that was, let's just say, inherent in your comment, but not explicitly stated, is that first and foremost, we've got the likes of Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan chief, running around literally like a chicken with his head cut off, making absurd statements that Bitcoin, for instance, is in a bubble, And what I find extremely interesting about Mr. Diamond's comments, because included in his rants, which is the best way to describe his commentary regarding Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general, he makes rants stating that it's a bubble, that it's a fraud, and Mr. Jamie Dimon should know very well what frauds are, because J.P. Morgan is engaged in fraud every day of their existence, and their stock and trade is fiat money, and fiat money is backed by absolutely nothing. And fiat money is the definition of the world's biggest Ponzi scheme, period. And when Mr. Dimon refers to Bitcoin as being backed by nothing, he should really have a look in the mirror, or have a better look at the fiat regime that his bank helps to support. And fiat money is also backed by nothing. And one thing that and it should be stated, one thing that Bitcoin at least has going for it that fiat money will never have going for it is that at least with Bitcoin, we know how many Bitcoins there are in existence, and with fiat money, we will never know the answer to that question, because we don't know how much fiat money there is in existence. And let's just say, if one were to take a quick look at the work of recently published material by Catherine Fitz, with collaboration with the likes of Dr. Mark Skidmore from a very, very prestigious chair at the University of Michigan, where Dr. Skidmore and his group have been able to identify $21 trillion worth of undocumented money expenditures from just two divisions of government, namely, I believe it was the Army and I think it was the Army and HUD. $21 trillion worth that they don't know where the money is. The fact that 21 trillion is missing, Dave, should make everybody's head swivel on their necks, because 21 trillion doesn't just go missing and evaporate into thin air. 21 trillion is maybe not accounted for, but 21 trillion is somewhere. And so where is the 21 trillion? And who has it? And who's in control of it? And if $21 trillion is missing, what does that do to our Fed Reserve commentary and reportage of monetary aggregates? Because there is no accounting for $21 trillion of missing cash in monetary aggregates as reported by the Federal Reserve. And what this reality does is it makes a complete and utter mockery of everything that the Federal Reserve posts. So there are vast sums of money that are in existence that are simply unaccounted for, and by virtue of them of existing, it makes a complete and utter mockery of everything we're told about our money supply, and basically it makes a mockery of everything we're told by officialdom regarding economics.
And this is not the first time we hear this. I mean, going back before 9/11, the day before, the Pentagon, they were missing, $10 trillion.
Back then, actually, Dave, I think the number then was, I believe it was 2 or 3 trillion. Well, that number is now ballooned to 21 trillion. So, it's like a trillion here, a trillion there. Next thing you're up to 21 trillion. And pretty soon you're talking about real money.
What is happening here and I'm going to talk about the petrodollar and the petro-yuan, because we see a lot of countries that are sanctioned and other countries that are not sanctioned. They're moving closer and closer towards China and Russia. I mean, Venezuela is looking to take on the petro-yuan. Saudi Arabia is moving towards this area. Egypt is moving towards this area. Qatar, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Philippines. They're all like moving away from the U.S. and looking towards Russia and China. Is the petro-yuan going to compete against the petrodollar?
The short answer to that, Dave, the petro-yuan is going to compete with the petrodollar without a doubt. And the petrodollar's dominance as the world's reserve currency is literally a dead duck sitting on a very, very flat pond. And there are many, many, many guns with their scopes with the petrodollar in the crosshairs right now. And the notion that the dollar will continue in its let's just say in its long held position as the world's reserve currency, that position is squarely in the crosshairs, and that is just something that will not continue on a go forward basis. And what that makes me ask the question is, we formerly, or just a minute ago, we're talking about $21 trillion worth of missing money. Somebody has within their grips that $21 trillion. What happens when the people who are currently in control of $21 trillion, what happens when they get an itchy trigger finger and come to the conclusion that those dollars, that nest of dollars that they are sitting upon, will soon become tapioca? What do they do with those dollars? There will be a rush to, at least in my view, there will be a rush to tangible assets. There will be a rush to different forms of currency that might be likely replacements for the status quo, which means that going forward, the prospects for things like physical precious metal have never looked brighter. And the prospects for cryptocurrencies in general look very bright. And for specific cryptocurrencies going forward, I would say the very, very near future looks absolutely brilliant. So I would put, in terms of tier one assets on a go-forward basis, I would include things like the yuan. I would include things like the euro, and physical precious metals, along with certainly at least a select group of cryptocurrencies.
So when you were talking about this whole thing about where they're going to put this money, from your research and what you've been looking at, Rob, do you see insiders stuffing money into the crypto market, stuffing money into the precious metal market right now because they see what's happening?
What we've seen so far is a slow drip. And what I see coming is a torrent. And to me, this has to happen without a doubt. Oh, and just to revisit and to finish off the thought that I didn't quite finish regarding Jamie Dimon and his rants against Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, when Mr. Dimon says that Bitcoin is in a bubble, I take informal surveys amongst people that I interact with in the real world, not the world that Jamie Dimon lives in. And most people that I speak with don't even know what a cryptocurrency is. I will admit that most people have heard the name Bitcoin, but I have yet to meet a person in the general public who actually owns any Bitcoin or knows how to transact in Bitcoin. And with the very, very, very small number of people that actually understand what Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies are, or who actually own a cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, how could it possibly be in a bubble?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
When Bitcoin is in a bubble, taxi drivers will be telling you about Bitcoin. I have yet to meet a taxi driver or an Uber driver who even knows what a cryptocurrency is.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, everyone at that point will start giving you financial advice on how they're investing, into Bitcoin or Dash or Litecoin, and you'll hear everyone talking about it. But we really don't hear that at all.
None, absolutely zero, Dave. And I only bring it up just to dispel the notion, this misguided fake reporting that we get from the likes of the mainstream as far as I'm concerned, the criminal leadership of organizations like J.P. Morgan Chase, who would have us believe that Bitcoin is in any kind of a bubble. What's in a bubble is the U.S. debt market and fiat money, period.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're calling it the everything bubble because it encompasses almost everything right now. Real estate, the stock market, the bond market, student loans, auto loans.
Exactly, Dave. What we have bubbles in are things the U.S. government can rig. And what cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology bring to the table is honest price discovery in all of the above. And what it really spells is the end for all of the above and the criminal rigging of capital markets, which the U.S. has become so handy at doing.
And I guess at this point, do you see the central banks doing anything with the economy? Since everything's in a bubble and they created these bubbles, is there anything that they can do? The ECB right now, they're saying that they're going to continue with their QE until 2018, late 2018. Is there anything that they can do, or they just have to keep everything status quo?
Dave, it scares me what the central banking community may do in the very near future, because what I see them doing right now is literally crapping their pants.
They're just nervous and afraid of...
Nervous and afraid because the sham and the Ponzi scheme of fiat money does not have much long to live.
So when you say not much longer, what do you see coming down the pike?
What I see coming down the pipe in the Western world, I see an unprecedented hyperinflation. I believe we're on the eve of that right now, metaphorically speaking. I see fiat money being destroyed, its value being destroyed, and I see the emergence of new asset-backed money, verifiably asset-backed money, crypto money. And utilizing blockchain technology, honesty will be returned to our monetary system, or let's just say we will have a new monetary system emerge from the ashes of the Ponzi scheme that we've currently been living under for too many years. And what we're going to see come hell or high water, Dave, is a return to honest commerce. And the reason we're going to see a return to honest commerce is because the current model is outdated and it's broken. And people realize it's outdated and it's broken. And dishonest commerce is what's at the root of all of the international strife that we have been witness to. It's really the root of terrorism. It's the root of everything that has beguiled mankind now for the past 30, 40 years.
Now, you're saying that we're going to be moving into this crypto type of system. What about all the people that, like you said, know nothing about it, and they are all holding dollars? How is this going to work? In your mind, how is this going to play out?
No, it's going to play out with a hyperinflation, and we're due that, and that will happen. Because when a monetary system dies, we have working examples, Dave, of when money becomes worthless. All we need to do, how many hundreds of fiat currency experiments have ended with the same result? There are literally hundreds of fiat currency regimes that when they die, they all die with a hyperinflation. It's clear as day. And the only caveat I will actually throw out there will be if the existing powers that be decide to take us to total war. And these people are such maniacal sociopaths, they may very well decide to take us to total war, and maybe we have a nuclear war, and maybe it's global, and maybe there's just a flash that ends humanity. But I'd like to think better of even the most sociopathic clowns on the planet that are currently running world affairs. That if they have families, if they have kids, they choose not to take us down that road. But as an aside, something that's very disturbing if you actually go through the facts, and the facts of the matter are so much of leadership in the European Union are people without kids. And that's actually a very sad shame that these people don't have the notion of family / legacy tied to their let's just say their current conduct and likely their future decision making regarding legacy.
Well, this is where you can see that they don't care if we go to war or anything like that, because that it's not their kids or anything that are going to war, so they don't really care.
Exactly.
So, we talked about before we went live on the interview. We talked about globalism, and I wanted to get your take on globalism right now, because we can see the Middle East right now, where we had all these regime change, and we were trying to get into Syria. That's really, from my point of view, is all starting to fall apart. What is your take on globalism? Is it still strong, or is it falling apart right now?
My view, globalism is on the run, and globalism has been, let's just say, for all intent and purpose, globalism has been supplanted by nationalism, and we see the expression of it in Australia by the election of a young Turk who's really got no connection to the establishment. We see it in the rise of populism in Italy. We see it with the rise of populism in Germany. We see it through the expression of the British populace through the Brexit vote. We see it through the election of Donald J. Trump. A lot of people, at least in my view, mistake the rise of Trump as a let's just say a singular, or they attach the movement to a sole personality like Trump. But in my view, anyway, Trump is only surfing a wave that is enveloping the whole world, and that's the let's just say the world is repelling globalism. The world has realized that they've been lied to. The world has learned or come to understand that the media that we've been fed is for the most part lies, and people are sick of it. And people want transparency. People want to know the truth. People are sick of lies. People don't want the Clintonism. They don't want the people want local governance. People don't want to be dictated to by the United Nations. People don't want to be dictated by technocrats who are unelected and answer to no one. People want results, and people want to know that they have a say. And so this is something that's not going away. And it's as it evolves, it's going to get stronger. Like this is something that will not be repelled unless we have total war. This is where we're headed.
Rob, thank you very much for being on the X22 Report Spotlight. Once again, how can people see your work?
You can catch me on the web at kirbyanalytics.com.
Rob, once again, thank you very much for being on the Spotlight. I appreciate it.
Pleasure being with you, Dave.